Well, and the one, we need bigger mouths. What are you going to do? Are you going to ignore it? Are you going to ignore Twitter? You know, because, well, it's not my thing, I'm not good at computers, you're going to ignore it. Okay, by doing that, you will get left behind, so that's your choice. But I would say, well, somehow we need to adapt. We need to manage this, you know, because that's what it feels like, you know, for me when I go on Twitter, get all these tweets, and I feel like, well, I'm right underneath the gush of that water, bashing my head all day, every minute of every day, my head gets bashed. We need to find ways of coping with it. You know, we've all heard of information overload, and that's what we're in. So hopefully, if we make smarter use of the internet, if we become digitally literate, even though it's a bad term, then you can cope with this. You can use it for your own purposes. However, have any of your teachers ever spoken to you about how you organise your electronic sources? You know, you have your things to do list. You know, I mean, back in the day when I was a student, you'd write a revision list or you'd write a list of things to do, and if you wanted to delay getting round to revising, you'd do it in colour, and then you do it in colour again, and then you make it nice and pretty, do a nice revision timetable. Do people still do that now? Well, before the internet came around, in terms of the way people cope with their work, they were either filers and pilers. So if you think of people, the way that their offices, or think of your desks at home. A student reminded me of this last week where he was telling me how tidy his desk was. His study area, sorry, at home. It's a very, very tidy table he has. You know, he said, my wife makes sure that it's nice and tidy. I wanted to ask him, well, what about your pen drive? How tidy is your pen drive? How tidy is your email inbox? You know, so it's all well and good having a nice, tiny sort of like, you know, study area, but if your pen drive's all over the place, then, you know, something needs to change. Now, in terms of emailing, the study that was done a few years ago about how people cope with emails, I mean, this was 96, where emails, we get, what, about 2 emails a week or something, you know. But you've got people who are frequent filers, you know, are you a frequent filer? Do you have little subfolders within your email inbox where you put things in different folders? Do you spring clean? Do you sort of like leave it for a few months and then delete everything? Or do you just let it all pile up and just think, well, I know where it is, I can find things. You know, there's so much we need to know about the way students store their stuff, because, you know, time and time again we put things on Moodle or we send emails and the message doesn't get through. So that, you know, both of us, we need to know. You need to tell us how you store your things, and we can work together. Now, one way of sorting out things is Delicious. Delicious is social bookmarking, and as it says there, it's social tagging, social bookmarking. One way of organising your sources. And surely the best thing about this is that if your tutor has tagged things, or if people who you trust have tagged things, then that's going to narrow down the internet because it's built on the recommendations of others. So I strongly advise you to think about social bookmarking because start organising your work on Delicious. Anybody in the world can access it. Einstein, you name it, anybody can access it. And if you've got a list of all Einstein's tags, well, surely that would be a great benefit. So you can do this. How many times have you found a really good URL and then you've lost it? Or you have a URL and you keep it in a Word document, which has got to be a perverse thing to do. Why would you take something off the internet and then put it on a Word document? And it just doesn't. You don't need to do that now. Get it on the cloud. So this is what Delicious looks like. So and this is basically, and here is kind of, I could have done a better example because you can write loads of words on there. In the future, I hope to be setting assignments on Delicious, whereby students actually write their stuff on there. I don't see the point in writing things in a Word document, so only you see it and so I see it. If you've done the work, you've done some hard work. Let's use it. Let's use it. So so things like this. Now, as I say, these are the titles that I put on. These are the tags, and as I say, so get yourselves an account with Delicious, and see. Think of it like Facebook and Twitter. You follow people on Delicious. I follow an organisation called the Howard League. The Howard League are really good for criminology students because they're good about campaigning about conditions in prison. So every time the Howard League posts something on Delicious, I have access to it, just like Twitter, just like Facebook. And it doesn't take a lot of time. You can do it through your phone. You don't have to do it through your computer. So I say I would like in the future, and I would like to assess students by how good a collection of tags they create. Time and time again, how many times have your tutors tell you your internet sources aren't that good? No offence to anybody, criminology students in the room, but sometimes you get, students that use the Daily Mail as a website. Come on, how many times do we have to say the Daily Mail is not an appropriate source for you as experts in crime? So this thing will help you. This thing, it really will help you. So delicious is a thing. So as a part of this project, we've got a variety of tags, a variety of collections of resources that anybody in the world can access. Similarly with YouTube, how many people, it's a rhetorical question, how many people have got YouTube accounts? How many times, think of the hours that you spend on YouTube, how do you ever organise your stuff on YouTube? Or is it just chaos? You just move from one video to the other video without thinking about it. Think how much time you could save yourselves if you had playlists on YouTube. Just like your MP3 players, you can have playlists on YouTube. You can have as many playlists as you want on YouTube. I just told you before how fast YouTube's growing. You can have as many playlists as you want. We could have access to Isaac Newton's playlist. You could have access to anybody's playlist. Now, as I say, so with an account, but you need an account. That's all you need. Email and password, that's all you need. Now, 7 out of 47 students, which Don's going to talk about in a minute, they chose to use YouTube as part of their formal assignments on the BA Criminology. And Google Docs, again, which I'll show you in a minute, Google Docs is the same kind of thing. So, you do this, and they'll tell you about what they thought of the experience. Now, final couple of points. In terms of the modern world, photography has been a project as part of Community Challenge, and I'm pleased to see that so many people in this room have contributed to this project. You can see here. I mean, this photograph was taken, if you remember, I think it was the 100 metres or the 200 metres, Usain Bolt won, and when he went on, the guy who's circled, he's a photographer. Usain Bolt took his camera and started photographing the people photographing him. So basically you get this kind of like thing, like if you go into a lift and there's two mirrors on either side and you look into it, it kind of like goes on, the reflection goes on and on. Well, this is it. You've got people photographing the photographers who are photographers. Can't even say it. That's how much. I mean, all across there, you get all the way. You've seen this yourselves. If you go to music, you can go to concerts and stuff like that. People all the time filming. They're not watching it. They're watching it through the phone. That kind of action, isn't it? Of holding that. That kind of that stance that didn't exist 10 years ago. Now, whenever anything important happens, phone out. So we've got to recognise this. This is how you learn. This is what contemporary culture is. Now, having said that, it's got a dark side to it. I haven't got time to go through the dark side because there is a dark side to all this in terms of our freedom and in terms of our privacy. Do you ever think about your privacy settings on your Facebook pages? It amazes me just how the fact that many students do not care, or do not seem to care about their privacy settings. But it's not just on Facebook. As you know, the cameras, are everywhere. It's not just us that's doing this. The state is also doing it to us as well. Never used to happen before. Our grandparents didn't have to put up with this, but we do because it's part of life. Now, in terms of blip photo, it was fantastic to see this year. First year students, 29 out of 56 chose blip photo. Now, that is an incredible figure. That blip photo is a similar kind of thing. You can have access to the best photographers in the world. Some of the best ones, some of the best lecturers in the world post their photographs on blip photo. It's all free. Because it's like Facebook, because it's like YouTube, because it's like Twitter. You can get feedback from people. If you took a bit more time with blip photo, and before you could post your photograph, ask for questions. I'm doing an assignment on. Please help me. Some of our students have used Twitter to send tweets to professors in specialist areas saying, I'm doing an assignment on youth justice. Can you give me a hand? A bit more detail than that. But then the professors responded. So so whichever way you want to look at this, whether you want to look at it from a business point of view or whether you want to look at it from the learning point of view, it's there for you. Now, say other people are using it, so why can't Blackburn students use it? That's what we want to try and do. Now, I haven't lost my marbles by putting this slide up. That's what I wanted to say. Is you know, the only way is ethics. Now, the beauty of doing it, your work the community challenge way, is that we can be ethical. You can be ethical for reasons that Donna's going to talk about in a minute. You don't need to rip off people's music these days. You don't need to rip off people's copyrighted stuff. You don't need to. There is a movement happening within the world called Creative Commons, where people are giving their permission for you to use their work. That is really important. As a student, it might not seem that important at the moment, but it's a massive change. Time and time again, I've breached IPR because, well, at Blackburn College I have to. You know, we've got to do it. You don't need to now. Creative Commons is an alternative. Copyright laws, fantastic thing to research. They've got to go. You know, the way they are is everything on YouTube, by the way, basically breaches copyright, more or less. If you're going to be really literal about copyright, every time you copy something, that's a breach of copyright. So that can't work. That can't work in a world where, you know, an hour, more than a day's worth of stuff on YouTube is getting posted every minute of every day. It can't work. So Creative Commons is different. So I think this gives you all to be ethical. So when you're going for jobs, when you're working with employers, you can show employers that you can be ethical and you can get things for free. Now, as I say, both of that we think is you know, quite important. So communitychallenge.pbworks.com